Well, Rutgers hoops lands another guy. Is it the answer? Let's get to it.
What is it tonight? Please just tell me what the hell is wrong. Do you want?
Well, and the least surprising in a couple of tidbits and news from Rutgers basketball, we get a commitment from NJIT point guard Tariq Francis, and Dylan Grant says he's going to stay. Hi, this is Tom. These are the two least surprising bits of news coming down the pike for Rutgers basketball. No pun intended. We do sign Tariq Francis after several weeks of portal madness. 6 foot, 180-pound point guards, probably, if that's his listed size, he's probably around 5'11", 170, and he kind of plays that way. I'll get to that in a second. We talked about him before. He's a 19-4-3 guy with NJIT, 3-star guy from Washington, Pennsylvania. I don't know, man. And, I don't want to be Debbie Downer because there's a lot of ambivalence about the basketball program's progress in the transfer portal so far. And after this past season, bitter disappointment. People are just really down on the additions that we've made. And, I'm that guy that's always going to look for the angle that people aren't thinking about or talking about, hence the Rogue in Scarlet Rogue. But and a lot of the criticism about the couple moves that we made with Buchanan and now Tariq Francis are fair. And it's not just because, well, this is the beginning, maybe we'll land some more guys. It's not even about that. But I'll get to all of that in a second. We're getting a point guard from a low major and a not great conference from a 6-25 team that was 3-13 in America East. You can get it if a guy is a star on a team. That's good, even if it's in a low major. And you can project that talent and that winning to the next level, which is what we kind of have to do to attract talent, both from a budget standpoint and talent standpoint. And yes, he's close with Brandon Knight, who's close with his father. But I've been talking about what we've needed to do from the second half of the season on and a lot after the season ended, and Coach Peichel reaffirmed what it is that he has to do after we talked about Rick Pitino and what he did to improve his team over last year, which is to recruit the way that he coaches with athleticism, defense, and length. Said we needed to get back to a core values of being a gritty, defensive, rebounding kind of team. We went from that kind of team to kind of this soft finesse kind of scoring team. And we weren't being able to organize all the pieces of the puzzles together to be successful. And quite frankly, we were terrible in defense. Talked about this a bunch. 388th in effective defense. 388th after being top 25 for a few years. Now, Darren Buchanan, who we just signed, some people like get him on him for his lack of defense. I think it's a little bit unfair. There was criticism about him as the way that he plays defense is effort. He hustles, and because he's always putting in the effort, he sometimes overruns the play. That's okay. Talked about this a bunch before when we talked about how bad our defense was this season. Defense isn't always about scheme or defensively talented players. Sometimes it's just about effort. Talked about Mike Woodson's Knicks teams. They were terrible. They were a finesse offensive team that loved to rain down threes. Carmelo Anthony. But collectively, as a team, they played good team defense. So if a guy hustles, that's half the battle right there. Not everybody is going to be Michael Jordan. It's not how this works. That being said, I feel that we're not heading in the right direction, and that's no revelation there. Nonetheless, let's go through, Tariq from Pittsburgh, close to Brandon Knight. He averaged 19 points, shooting on 36%, 40% on twos, 32% from threes. It's in J. Mike territory. 4.3 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and 3 turnovers, and 1 steal, averaging 35 minutes per game. For a team that was 6-25. And we'll get to what that means in a second. There's been chatter that signing Tariq Francis now means that Brandon Knight is going to stay with Rutgers for a couple more years. He's set to earn $825,000 over the next year. $725,000, $100,000 in retention fee if he stays. So I don't know how if that's connecting the dots or that's a reality. Nonetheless, we're getting a guy in Tariq Francis playing in a low major. He did have some games against better programs. Jerry Carino touched on this. Villanova, he had 12 points and 5 of 12 shootings, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Okay, it's okay. Seton Hall, good game. 23 points, 9 of 20 shooting, 4 rebounds and assists. And ironically, against George Washington, which is where Buchanan came from, 20 points, only 6 of 17 shooting, 3 rebounds, 9 assists. UMass, 24 points and 9 of 22 shooting, 2 rebounds, and one that Jerry Carino, I think he missed, and it might have been his freshman year. Tariq scored 31 points out of 63 points, beating Vermont. So NJIT beat Vermont, who was number 1 in the league, and Vermont's made it to the tournament more than we have over the past 10 years. So they beat Vermont 63-61, and Tariq had 31 points. So I think the ability for him to be a scorer against better competition is there, but it's the Big Ten. And that's a whole nother ball of wax. We'll get to some more of those details in a second. But Tariq's role on NJIT was he was the team. He had to carry the scoring load. And there's some thinking that because he had to carry the load, that led to his inefficient shooting and scoring. Because when you feel the pressure is always on you, you're going to tend to hoist shots up because you don't have confidence in your teammates to be able to score. He did get, again, like Buchanan and like Juice Limboto, who we talked about, better as a freshman than a sophomore. Kind of don't like to see that. But nonetheless, he, was an America East Rookie of the Year. And this is something that You know it's coming. After a tough game, we lose. And maybe Tariq doesn't have a great game. Tariq was an academic All-American East honor recipient. He posted a 3.4 GPA as a business major. You know that's coming on a bad night. That being said, we could say, well, we're not heading in the correct direction, getting longer, more defensive and athletic. What are we doing with a 6 foot, probably 5'11 guard? J. Mike, 6'1", 6'2". Lino Mark, same size. Hayden Powers, allegedly is 6'5". We'll get to him in a second. You know, coach said he wanted balance on the wing. He wanted, good combo guards. But this is the reality of where we are. For people that think, well, maybe they got something else working behind the scenes. There's guys that they look, all the targeted guys and all the top players for the most part are gone. We're now in the 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds of the draft. And this is what we're left with. It's been several weeks. We've kind of known about Tariq Francis. And after several weeks, well, if he's the guy that you're finally going to sign, that's because that's the only target that you can sign before, you don't even want to think about some of the top guys that are still not taken, that you think maybe you have a shot. It's not even about that. This is where we are because this is where we are. That's what we got. This is what we have to settle for. Don't know what the price is going to be. I know on the night report, I think Richie was saying, at least 200,000. It's going to be more than that. It's probably going to be more in the 300,000 to 400,000 range. Almost 2,000 players in the portal, and we're struggling. R.J. Luis from St. John's would have been a great dual threat wing. Of course, we're not going to be able to afford him. And if he's not going to play for St. John's, who was an Elite 8 team and has the money, we have no shot. But that would have been a guy who would have fit. So it's J. Mike at 6'1", 6'2", 37% shooter, 28% from 3. Who knows what we have in Lino Mark and Caden Powers once they get to the Big Ten. But watching some video of Tariq Francis, he has a long shooting motion. So when he gets the ball, he has a very long extension. And it almost stops at the end like a batter watching a home run, or like when I do when I'm, shooting warm-ups out on the court in my development. He seemingly lacks fluidity and efficiency and falling backwards when your legs separate, like you're shooting off your back foot. But a lot of time, ball goes in anyway. It's kind of like an Ace Bailey thing going on there. He does have the ability to quickly change direction and cross over on the dribble. Quite fast, actually. And for a guy that's maybe 6 foot, probably 5'11", he can drive to the hoop. Can he do it in the Big Ten against bigger Big Ten, more athletic, more physical guys? That's the question. We saw Zach Martini couldn't play in the Big Ten. He did well against us, on Princeton. Actually, Cam Spencer did okay. But nonetheless, he's a volume shooter and scorer that is not efficient, but he can without totally dogging this, and a lot of people that cover the team are kind of like, eh. He can create his own shot. He can drive to the hoop. He shoots 84% free throws, which would have put him second behind Lathan's 86% this year. And despite his J-Mike shooting, three-point shooting percentage of 32%, Mike today on the night report said in transition, he shoots 45%. So if we're running, he pulls up. It's a pretty good chance it's going in. It's in the half court that he struggles, and we've struggled with that forever. And maybe perhaps having to take on the burden of being the guy, he's forcing shot ups that maybe he shouldn't take. You're on a 6-25 team. You're probably taking shots because you think you have to, and that's just never a good thing. So the conventional wisdom is perhaps he can be more efficient with better players around him. We have experience with that. We'll get to that in a second. But there are guys on the other side of the ball, on the other side of the court on defense, that are better too. So that remains to be seen. But this isn't unlike, Tyson Akoff, who shot decently from two, but he shot 31, 32% before he got to Rutgers. And Jay Will, decent scorer, decent shooter, decent passer, shot 26% from three, including, 20% and 28% at Rutgers. So getting surrounded by better talent isn't necessarily the prescription for becoming a more efficient shooter. This remains to be seen. And if this doesn't go well, it's not going to, the guys on the night report are saying, boy, this is going to be a 10-win year. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think you can be 15-17 again. Just beat who you have to beat. Don't lose any out-of-conference games. Pick off a couple wins you're not supposed to. Get to 15 wins. So right now, we have JaMychal Davis, the guards, JaMychal Davis, Tariq Francis, Lino Mark coming in, Caden Powers. On the wings, Dylan Grant, Darren Buchanan. And the bigs slash power forwards, Bowley, Bryce Dortch, Kristen Willie, Javante Ware, 3 open scholarships left. So with almost 2,000 transfers in the portal, we still don't have an efficient shooter or scorer, a legit combo guard, and balanced wing and rim protector. And I've said this, we can be 15-17 with or without 5-star recruits. Maybe the naysayers are right. Maybe this is a 10 or 12 win season. So what that means is if we continue to get the guys in the portal that on paper kind of underwhelm, Mark, Caden Powers, they're going to have to step up. This is a new world that we're living in right now. So Lino and Caden, both 3-star guys. We've had success with 3-star guys before, so hopefully it's back to the future with a couple guys that can play Rutgers, New Jersey basketball. I hope you guys are ready. Lino allegedly is a fluid shooter, good passer, 3-point shooter and defender. Yeah, it all sounds great in high school out in California. We'll see how that goes. Now, Caden Powers has some size to him. 6'5", depending on whose number. I've seen everything from 185 to 210. It's probably closer to 185, but that's okay. Consensus 3-star guy. He can stretch the floor, consistently shoot from outside and is considered a scorer. By the way, he's being mentored by Jamal Crawford as a Seattle native. He was the number 2 prospect in all of Washington, ranked as the 37th best shooting guard in the nation and number 179 overall, like 247. And I don't think that's a terrible thing. Listening to Night Report today, they're like, we went from having a couple top 5 guys to now playing in the top 150, but that's okay. You can win with guys in the top 150. Nonetheless, here are some Caden quotes. Talking about Coach Pikely, he said he's going to let me score it. He knows I'm a scorer and plans to let me play the game. He's going to let me come off screens, use screens, get some ISOs, and just be a scoring guard. Outside of scoring, I'll be able to facilitate and be a combo and point guard as well. I don't know about that. That remains to be seen. I'm not sure. I think Coach Pikely, and there were some legitimate criticisms that he needed to be more focused on organizing his offensive sets, as guys were just like a Lathan just taking shots that needed to be reeled in. I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to let guys play their game, but sometimes you have to impose your will. He also, Caden also played against Lino and said he's really good. Said he can pass it. He's athletic. Has a 40-inch vertical, which is crazy for a point guard. He said Lino is nitty-gritty, plays real good defense. He says he's the one that wants to pick up 94 feet and do all the dirty work. He's a playmaker and scorer. He can do it all. It'll be very fun playing next to him. If these two guys live up to what they're supposed to be, we have an opportunity to be pretty decent. And I watched some video of Caden, and unlike Tariq Francis, his shooting, he's much more controlled, efficient, and compact and smooth in his shooting delivery. That's what you think about a shooting guard, when you watch him. Not as dynamic as driving to the hoop as Tariq, despite being, bigger. But quite frankly, he looks like a prototypical 2 guard, something we absolutely need, and really haven't had a pure 2 guard since, dare I say, one of my favorite Rutgers players and athletes of all time, Quincy Doobie. That's right, Quincy Doobie. I just love him. He was 39% guy from 3, 82% free throw shooter. So maybe we have something similar with Caden Powers. Let's go. It's a new era. And being an old school guy, I hate all this NIL BS. You probably saw today I hate this crap. Quarterback Nikola Lamalieva holding out from Tennessee. Complete and utter BS. It's not even a pretension of athletic or amateur athletics anymore. And Mike brought this up on the Night Report. In some way, this is worse. If you're under contract and you want to leave an NFL team, you can't. These guys now can just pick up, transfer out, chase the bag. Now, the universities, like Mike said today, Tennessee isn't paying Nico directly, but they're being paid through NIL, through boosters, which effectually means the university is paying for it. It's a BS system. If that's going to be the case, somebody needs to sue the NCAA again for athletes being paid and yet getting the benefits of free room and board, free textbook, free tuition, free mentoring and coaching. if you're a professional businessman and you go to seminars and you have to pay for coaching seminars, they can go up to $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $25,000. This is all stuff that in the real world, professionals have to pay for. The marketing, the support, taxpayer funded universities, nonprofits who don't make money from NCAA athletics. If a guy wants to, make a few bucks on the side from his, jersey being sold, okay, I guess I can't be against that. But this whole system is BS. It's the G League for universities. That's my rant on that. There'll be more of those rants to come in the future. That being said, freshmen who do get to play, who are signed by guys who all don't think like Rick Pitino, that they don't want to go after high school athletes. And I see that because you're going to need to turn your roster over on the fly every year as guys transfer out and chase the bag. So now if you're a freshman in a traditional way, now I got all worked up and I have a little shot of something. It's not Eric's tonight. For you rye drinkers out there, I don't know if there's probably a bunch of bourbon guys, but if you want a fantastic rye, this Nashville Barrel cast strength, 7-year, fabulous, richly decadent, succulent, just terrific rye. It's going to be in that $60 to $65 range. Awesome stuff. Cheers. We're going to have to get more out of freshmen right away. They're going to have to step up, put your big boy pants on, and get ready. Let's go now. I know Richie from the Night Report said a few weeks ago he watched Lino Marks, and it might have been in a playoff or tournament. Only scored 8 points. He wasn't real impressed, but, that's one game. We'll see what happens there. So it remains to be seen where we're heading for the rest of the transfer portal season in basketball. I'm just hoping we pick up athleticism, length, and defense. And get other teams to play down and play ugly with you. That's probably our only shot right now to be competitive. And I don't think our roster, as currently constructed, meets that goal. So Coach Peichel and staff has some work to do. It's going to be a year where this decides our future. Okay, say a 13 and 18 year. Now I know we don't have a athletic director yet, but I think regardless, say a 13 and 18 year, it's not going to be a positive thing for Coach Peichel and the staff and the program going forward. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully, they can piece it together with the kind of guys, 3-star guys that they're comfortable with. I still think we can win that way. I think we can be 17 and 15 just by playing the way that we play. Out of conference schedule, we have some new teams in out of conference basketball with Maine, American University, and Penn. And Maine and American finished with winning records last year. American got bounced in the tournament by Mount St. Mary's, who I think I had them winning their first couple brackets. And Maine got to the American East Conference Championship, and they lose to Bryant, 80-72. And Bryant, every once in a while, they make the tournament. It's amazing that teams like that can make the tournament. Rutgers done this. And then Penn wasn't very good. They were 8-19 last season, 4-10 in the Ivy League. Hopefully, this is a Ivy League team that we can beat. Football, a little bit of, I don't want to say news, but Coach had a presser today, and Ethan Kalakamanis talked I'm not going to talk much about that because around this time of the year, it's going to be a lot of coach speak, nothing really revealing. But if we can get some tidbits to talk about, we'll do that. Nonetheless, everybody enjoy the rest of your weekend and week coming. Boy, I don't know, you do folks down in Central and South Jersey. There was some snow in North Jersey today. That was quite a surprise. Nonetheless, enjoy the rest of your weekend and your week, everybody, and we'll see you the next time.